And let's discuss more this transition business. And joining us on phone via Skype, we can see him on the screens in a moment, is Dr. Justice Bawule. He's the head of the Department for Public Administration and Health Services Management, University of Ghana Business School, Legon. Doc, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Right, so our President-elect's team has received 39 handing over notes, and with the exception of the one, from the office of the president. Is that worrying?
Well, let me say to your viewers, I think that it's a worrying situation, but I think since it's the first time we are implementing this act in a system that allows one president to hand over to another president, it is to be anticipated that a few hiccups would occur. And so I hope that these will be times for us to take some lessons and to make some progress in the future. If you look at the Transition Act, the Presidential Transition Act, it talks about when all of this should have been done a month before the election, and the framers are careful to ensure that these things are done in a way that allows the incoming administration to take off well and to avoid some of the unfortunate negative media reportage that we are hearing. And so I think that these things should have been done long ago, and I think that we should have had a smooth transition in terms of these handing over notes so that the committee can set and start working. But be it as it may, it's happened. We are yet to have the full complement of notes that they are expected to have. I think what is important here is that perhaps tomorrow or a few days from now, we might get a full complement of the notes that they are supposed to pass on, and then the committees will begin to discuss them.
Doc, you sound
that this is a law that we pass for ourselves, and we must respect what the law says.
Right.
The law says we should do all of this 1 month before the elections, and we should do it. As I said, this is the first time that we getting a change of precedent in an election since this law was passed in 2012, and so you anticipate that some of these things will happen. I'm sure that in 2012, 2013, when we had a transition, it was from one government to another government. So perhaps it could have accounted for the, if you like, the lazy approach to which the current government is attaching to the issue. But I think that going forward, we are going to be seeing a lot more action in this area.
Right. So, Doc, the NPP transition team has raised concerns about contracts and employment. What is your take on that?
Well, I think that is I've heard people talk about the fact that we cannot expect government to grind to a halt, and that is a legitimate defense. But we are also mindful of what the rules of engagement are. And so the current government has up to the midnight of 6th of December to conduct the affairs of this country. So we would expect that they have the opportunity to do what they are required by law to do. But the laws also say that we should ensure that the current administration will prepare their notes of the things that have transpired. And not just that, but the things that they anticipate would happen between when they hand over the notes, that is 30 days before the elections, and when the government will leave office. So the understanding is that the current administration would have captured all the things that they have done and would have captured some of the things that they anticipate to do within this period, such that these things will be things that we will not go back to now. In other words, They should have been things that should have been thought through, and it is critical that we reflect on the consequences of some of these.
Thank you.
The consequences for the current administration is that they have a mandate to execute, and therefore they want to execute that mandate. And so we would anticipate that they will do what they have to do. But the consequences for the incoming administration goes beyond what is captured in the Presidential Transition Act. It goes into what our Constitution says. The Constitution says that within 2 years after a president has taken office, he's supposed to submit a program of economic. The president is supposed to submit his program of economic activity to Parliament for approval. Now, if anybody was leaving office now and decide to commit this government to things that perhaps this government doesn't have on the table, they are going to be struggling to deal with it. We remember in 2008 when the former president Kufuor was leaving office, he had committed this government to some increases in wages, and I remember.
Well, that was Dr. Justice Bawule. He's head of Public Administration and Health Services Management of the University of Ghana Business School, Legon. Thank you, Dr. Bawule. He was just giving us a little insight about the business of transition, which is currently ongoing.